Hi, guys. Welcome back to Details in Hindsight. I am your host, Maddie Brown, and today is a very special day. I have my dear
Yeah.
friend Sarah on the podcast today. Say
Yes.
hi.
Hey. Yes, yes. Hi, I am Sarah LaForme, coming from you live from Florida.
Tell us how long you've been a military spouse.
I have been a military spouse for 6 years. He has been active duty for 7, but we have known each other for about, I would say, rounding it up, like 9, 10 years.
So, how did he ask you to marry you?
Okay, so technically there's two. First time we were young, I would say like 18, 19 years old, and he asked me with a Big Mac, actually coming from the state fair in North Carolina. So yeah, but the official final, like after we talked to family, got the ring, the whole shebang on that, it was Christmas Day of that year. So going,
So remind me, how long has Gavin wanted to be a part of the military?
so he has wanted to be in pretty much his whole life. I've never not known him to breathe, bleed Navy. He's been in a military family his whole life, obviously. Um, so multiple role models influenced in the military and family as well. So
That's awesome.
right into
So
it, yeah.
why the Navy? I'm curious.
That was his parent. All of his parents were Navy. They were all corpsmen, all retired Navy chiefs, all in for 20 plus years. So it's like I said, it was that breathe, bleed Navy kind of life
It
and
was a
lifestyle in
no-brainer.
general. Yeah, it's kind of like you don't just hop over to another branch after that. You just when you know it, you know it.
That's good though.
Uh,
Well, that's good. So, overall, how many deployments have you been through?
Three,
Three.
technically two on paper, but the second one was long enough to be a deployment, but it was still a
Okay.
deployment.
Deployments are hard, no matter the timeline, TD-wise or not, or even just long distance in general. It's not
Right.
easy. So, which one would you say was the hardest for you?
First one. But I feel like how it is for everybody, you get your good and your bad. You got to figure it out a little bit. You have to kind of feel for what, if you even like the lifestyle that so-called signed your life away for, which personally for me, I don't believe in that concept. Yes, it is a lifestyle, but it doesn't have to completely destroy you unless you really want it to, and it can. I mean, welcome to the military. They don't care about your feelings. My dad used to always say if they wanted you to have a spouse, they would have assigned you one because that's what he was told when he went in. Um, so yeah, so military doesn't think that. They think mission, they think their benefits on that. So yeah, first one for sure because it was new. It was a reality check. It was a lot of growing up really fast. And if you're not ready for that, it's gonna do it for you, the military, that's for sure. As a spouse and as a service member too, for sure.
Yeah. So, y'all, how fast was your engagement? Did you guys have a couple years to kind of plan this through, or were you like, we're ready?
No, I want to say, gosh, just a minute. I want to say we were married quite quickly. Um, so we were high school sweethearts, if I didn't mention that already before. But so we met in 2017, engaged by 2019, and married by 2020, May of 2020. So I mean, it did go pretty quick. He did go through boot camp while we were dating to officially engage, um, in 2019 during that period. So he did get married after he had made that transition from basic civilian to service member.
What was the thought process going into marrying somebody in the military? You and I both know it's not the easiest decision to
Right.
make. What were your thoughts back then that you were like, this is what I was thinking?
More like what was I thinking?
Yeah.
It's more of what did I sign myself up for? But I think it's more of because when I was going in, there was such a negative cloud, so to say, with how everything was going to turn out, you know. And I put that with a lighter subject on that because the military community, when I or when we were getting married was not the most positive. And becoming a military spouse, a little bit more seasoned, so to say, or salty, something he would say, you get exposed to so many different people and personalities and different ideals of their reason behind it. So with that being said, it wasn't all positive in the beginning. It was kind of bum rushed, a little bit of, well, when he goes through boot camp, he's going to be different. Well, actually, he wasn't. His
Mm.
values were different, because that's the whole point of the military. Yes, sometimes boot camp does make or break people. And some people, ironically, which y'all, I know a lot of people might be like, how do you not get through boot camp? Some really don't. That's that telltale on if it's meant for them. But I got a lot of that, he's going to change, the high school guy you fell in love with, he might not be him when he comes back in the uniform changes.
Mm.
Um, Not
Mm.
really. I mean, I look back, he was the same Gavin as he was before. He still joked. He just as handsome as he was before, just some more bells and
Oh,
whistles.
no more
It
shade.
there was right. The concept of that transition was so, I would say, in some sense, glorified into a way of like, oh, this is going to be this monumental change. Now, if we ask him, I bet you he'd probably say, oh yeah, I changed here, I changed here, I changed here. Yeah, because he probably did.
Mm.
But for the general overall, as the spouse perspective or a girlfriend, fiance, or whatever perspective, he was still my dad. He was still him. So yeah, I will say I would have appreciated a little bit more positivity going into it. I definitely would have liked to know how the community was before. I knew it because his family was active. My dad was a Marine, uncle was a Desert Storm vet. I've had people that have gone through it, and
Mm.
done their things. I've had the exposure, the proper exposure for sure, but it's more on the lines of truly, you'll never know what your experience is going to be until you start experiencing it. And the military for sure shows that 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel like our community, since you've been for about a good chunk, a good salty season,
Yeah.
um, how would
Love
you
that.
say as a community, how has it shifted? Has there been like a dynamic switch, or is it still like how have you
You're
seen the community switch over the 7-ish, 9-ish
so
years you've been in?
community itself, spouse wise, I mean, you're gonna find your people that love the theatrics, you love your drama, that love your I wear my husband's rank scenario, you know, the bombarding of the moms groups. I mean, not bombarding, but I mean, I will say there is more support, which I think is great that that community is out there. I do think there's more support though for people who are young starting out with children than they are just young starting out and
Hmm.
just starting out. That I will say is something that is still lacking, um, and kind of I think that would be a great shift change if they could really if we could find the right people that can start that form of community. But that's also, even if you do have it, you're still going to have your people that are there for the theatrics, that are there. And I say theatrics, meaning your drama, your party scenes, they're not there for the right intentions out of the military member, which is a shame as it is. But no matter where you go, if you're looking for trouble, it's going to find you and you're going to find it. So, I will say that's just the reality of how any community can go on that. So it hasn't really changed much. I think it just depends if you're changing with the years of your service member and
Hmm.
if you are even really looking for community. If you're choosing to expose yourself, they do have command opportunities where you can attach yourself to, not really attach, but you can become attached to families and service members' wives or spouses or
Hmm.
whoever, like whoever your member is deployed with, especially on ship life. You can find they have a whole Facebook page, the ombudsman's there. They do have events for children, stuff like that, if you want to choose to utilize them. Um, on that perspective, on that.
So if you could sit yourself down from today to like week 1 or week 0 as they call it, you when he just went off to boot camp, you're kind of
Yeah.
struggling, was one piece of advice that you'd give yourself that would either encourage you or just help you navigate these waters moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. I would just say, it does get better. It does truly get better every time. And I don't care how many people, how many service members you encounter or spouses, there has been one time they're going to ask themselves, why the heck did I do this? That why, remember your why. That's really the main overall picture that I feel like every newcomer into the military life, the service member and spouse, you have to remember your why, because if there's no why, you have no point of continuing, in my opinion. That is just me though. Um, you fall in love with the person, not the uniform, as a spouse. Unless you're into that, then that's your personal thing. I fell in love with the person before the uniform even became a thing. So I believe just keeping true to myself, true to him, and remembering your why. I think that's what I would tell myself for
That's
sure.
really good. I love
Yeah,
that. So your faith is a part of your story. We talked a
100%.
little bit earlier before this pod. You did mention the differences between like your two deployments and
Hmm.
how your faith really was your deal breaker between the two. Would you like to
Yes,
go a little deeper on that for me?
100%. So I always say this, and yes, I know I'm probably going to get a little beef on this, but God first, career second. Reason being, if you put God first on it, the career is going to follow through no matter what. With that in mind and in picture, the first deployment, I could have been a lot better with my time. Um, a lot of free time can take up and kill a relationship if it really wanted to. Um, I was in my hometown still, which I don't know, for some people, they're like, oh, that's a great thing, or it's not. For me, I mean, it was great. I love that I have my family there. I love the idea of being close, comfort. But I feel like getting out of that comfort zone was one of the best things that ever could have happened to me. I always told my parents, especially like my dad can vouch for me, telling and continuing like, okay, when I hit 18, I'm out of here. We got out of there, not by far, only 3 hours. We went north to
Mm.
Virginia. So, but I also started at Camp Lejeune. So, and for those who would know, Camp Lejeune is a love and hate relationship. I have a little different because I was raised there. Not everybody
Mm.
has that. They get there and go, what have they done? Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Mm.
So I had my opportunities to stay with my church. I could have had that opportunity, my family, local church, but I chose not to. No real personal reason. It was just a real journey for me to really see, finding me out, being true to me, truly, and really finding ways to understand this lifestyle that we have taken and chose for ourselves. Compared to this now, really the third one, I should say. The second one was a good transition because you go, okay, I could have been better in the first. Communication was a little crazy for us because he was in Iraq the first deployment. So you're on a time change, you're on a long distance, you're on all of these different challenges and bumps in the road. But going into the second one, he was home, but he was transitioning onto ship life. So thinking that Virginia was like, oh, okay, we got off this deployment. That was 10 months. Okay, we're in the clear. We're gonna,
Mm.
we're gonna connect. We're gonna, act like, you know, married people, because it was our first year married as well as our first deployment, as his first deployment.
Oh wow.
And with that being said, going into that, it was like, okay, oh, but, underways are beginning. Oh, this deployment's starting. Oh, but it got shortened. Oh, yeah, that's so great in quotation. You think that it's great, but in all reality, it was just a preparation for the 8.5 month one that came the year after. That year, I began middle school ministry and youth leader, and that was probably one of the best decisions of my life. It really
Oh.
helped me understand, yeah, it really helped me understand really the level of being grateful in a hard situation. Your circumstances do not create and or make you. It truly made me understand every bit of that. I will tap into though when it comes to the faith perspective. You know, we are the ones making it worth. them coming home to. How you set your household up does and will matter. Even if you do not have a God-based faith or any faith in general. I mean, some people, they don't even believe in the idea of faith at all. But in this household, we serve the Lord, and that is something that I want it to when he comes home, he goes, okay, I'm happy to be home, you know, and those things do matter, especially long term, because the longer you're in for, the longer you're starting to look for those different things. It's not like everybody when they first start getting in, they're like, okay, I want to see the world. I want to go do these things. I want to do this,
Yeah.
this, half and the other. Well, with him, he's a military brat, he's seen the world, okay, once you come see the world, what are you coming home to? You know, what is your reason to not keep seeing it? And as a spouse, that is where we come in to make those situations and make those worlds, or their world, worthwhile coming home to.
No, that's really sweet. But thank you for sharing that. That was really
Yeah,
sweet.
absolutely.
I love when people get vulnerable. So it's hard to do that, especially when it's going on the internet.
Well,
But
it's not too bad. I mean, it's life. People, and just to touch on that just a little bit, I know it's kind of veering off, but
no, you're good. This
people
is what it's
don't
for.
want to be right. People don't want to be vulnerable, but I hate to say it. Welcome to life. You're going to have to be at some point. Um,
Hmm.
and especially as spouses, you have to understand vulnerability is the military. You are choosing to have someone create your career for you. And when I say that, they're like, what do you mean by that? It's up to them if they work good or they don't work good. Yes, but you are choosing to say, I don't know who's picking where I live, but hey, they will. I am
Yeah.
choosing to allow them to decide, okay, is this for another 3 years? Is this another 2 years? Is this another 4 years? Oh, check that. They're actually deploying in the middle. So you're actually giving, there has to be a level of vulnerability and adaptability with that to be able to say, all right, you know, I'm not in charge anymore. Someone else has got to do it for me.
Right.
And that's where that's going to matter the most.
I love that. To touch back a little bit on what you said, so with making your house a reason to come home,
Hmm.
how has been reintegration for you between the two deployments? Was one easier or was one harder when it came to getting him home?
Not really. I
Hmm.
mean, just finding your routine again. So, as spouses, we have to understand that what they go through is not what we're going to go through, and what they go through, they will not understand what we go through.
Hmm.
So, that does not mean now other spouses are different. For me personally, when he comes home for deployments or even from work, I don't play 20 questions.
Hmm.
I make a safe space. You don't wait. I mean, you can wait it out to see if they're going to tell you about it. But I mean, if you are like information dumping or, kind of waiting for the bombarding of information on them and also to be brought onto you, it allows for some form of communication, allowing for comfort to come in. So if they want to say, hey, I had a rough day at work, or man, that first 2, 3 months deployment, I don't even know how the heck I got through that. Or yes, this incident did happen. Let's talk about this if you don't mind. Or not, okay, well, I don't recommend doing this, but if it's worked for you, and if your spouse is like this, great. I do not do fits personally. If your spouse comes home and you're like, okay, well, this has been my routine for such and such a time, and
Hmm.
we're going to do this. Okay, well, your spouse just came off of a time difference. Some could be 3 to 4, some of it 8 to 10. Um,
Interesting.
that being said, you just can't. God, I'm sorry, but it's so much more common than people realize. They come in and it's going to be new, and that's going to be
Hmm.
okay. That's where that vulnerability and adaptability comes in at. Yes, some people are not able to do that as well as yeah, well as other people.
Me.
And right, well, hey, I mean,
Not be me.
but I,
Not
I
at
think
me.
it does come with time though. It
It's
really
good.
does. You're just like, thank God.
I'm
I'm
like,
just
no,
like,
I'm
hurry up
definitely
now.
not good at that. It's like Austin comes home and I'm like, so what about this? What about that? And he's like, I'm like, fair enough.
Like,
So like,
why, right? Like, why? You know,
I think it's just because
but
like I miss him, and I just like, and he's like the only
well, yeah,
person like
but
I'm
you
like
can play the
close
20.
with.
Okay, yes, you can play the 20 questions, but it also, if you want to play the 20 questions, it matters how you're saying it. Now,
That's fair.
if you are secret searching, you're trying to see if they're going to slip up. If you're trying to, not that you would do that, I'm just using an example,
Yeah.
but if you're, because there are some spouses that do this, you're looking for a reason to say, oh, you messed up. I saw it. I
Mm.
knew it. I knew it. You know, trying to like kind of almost like re-feeding into that negativity that's always, not always, but that is sold in the
Oh.
beginning of careers, and that's the stuff that
It's like
does that
looking
kind of
for
stuff.
something like negative
Yes,
versus
like if you were trying to secret dump and or even secret search, it's not always going to have the best benefit. And that's in any marriage. That is not just military spouses. It's just more vulnerable for us because they are away at longer periods or they're not home when you want them home. You deal with emotion and they have to deal with emotion. So when you put them together, who's going to talk first? Who's going to have the first say? Who doesn't? And then, whose routine are we going to stick with and who's not? There's going to have to be some form of sacrifice that has to be made, careers or relationship or just personal interest as well. Now, but that's also where that communication comes really key at hand with your spouse. This is stuff that needs to be made before you're like, hey, if you're some people, you meet that person on a Monday, you're married by Thursday,
mm,
congrats. But I just hope by Wednesday you've had that conversation on how you intend on having those conversations in the future. That's where
mm,
that stuff is needed to be made. For me, it was just it gave me something to look forward to,
mm.
realistically. When he was coming home, I love to cook. With that being said, I'm thinking, all right, I got something I can actually plan. I have something to
Are
cook
you cool
for
with
her,
like a dad vibe? Is that the vibe we're going for here?
right, right, and that
But
you
there's
just
nothing
find a
wrong with
way to
it.
truly enjoy it. You just find a way to truly enjoy it, if that makes any
Mm,
sense. And even if you can't, some people are like, well, how the heck can I even enjoy that? Well, it's
mm,
your husband. Why couldn't you? Or your spouse. Why couldn't you enjoy
mm.
it? But that's a
Yeah.
personal thing. See, the career and the spouse are two different things because the moment they take that uniform off, that's the person you married at the end of the day, no matter what.
That's a good segue into our next
Right,
section.
right.
So as you know, deployments are not easy. I am a
Yes.
number one advocate for Murphy's Law. To kind
Love it.
of break the ice a little bit, is there like a Murphy Law story that you're like, dude, you would not believe what happened to me on this deployment? It's always something that's like major that goes wrong the second they walk out the door. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but if you're like, oh man, I remember this happening, and it's just
So I will, okay, there was one incident, the first one, not like something too bad, but something like kind of very new spouse for me was so I kept getting these foreign packages. Like you can tell like they are from like Afghanistan or somewhere like foreign address. It was very weird. So he had just left for 3 weeks. He was gone for 3 weeks, almost hitting a month in Iraq. And I'm getting these packages. There's no address, like, no name, at least that I can understand. I'm not nothing like nothing to be rude, nothing to be wrong about it. I just don't understand it.
you couldn't read it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just like, that's not my name, like, but it is my address. So I'm thinking, okay, do I throw it away or do I open it?
But what do you do
And
with
they kept
that?
being these, right. Well, after a while, because they kept sending like every other week, they were stuffed animals and they were not from my husband. So come to find out, no joke, the neighbor's kid in the cul-de-sac that we lived in had a girlfriend he did not want to tell his parents and was sending the packages to us, but did not realize our circumstances. And when he finally showed up, I said, like, because at first I was just resending them back or throwing them
Yeah.
away because I was just like, this is just being so weird, almost getting paranoid.
Yeah.
Um, with that being said, I was like, okay, you're at my front door. I was going to ask you because you're finally asking, because he finally started asking for the packages because he wasn't receiving anything, I guess. I don't know. Obviously not when it's at my house, but with that,
Well, like,
it
how are
just,
you
yeah.
supposed to know without any context?
Well, if like the first two was like farm animals, they didn't make noises. There was no like tags. Like it was not like, like a Care Bear, you could tell like a logo or like a Build-A-Bear. There's no logos on these things. It's just these
Oh,
random stuffed animals. And he
I would have
shows
lost
up,
it.
right? I was just like, I could take this so wrong right now, but I'm not, because I'm not gonna panic. I'm gonna be strong on my first deployment, and it's the stupidest thing. Guy shows
And this
up,
kid
young
is just
kid. I
like
mean, he wasn't
messing
that
with your
old, but
shit.
he, right. I'm like, he's not that old, but he's not old enough to be doing this as well either. You know what I mean? So he's obviously, I'm only 5'2" on a good day. So he's obviously taller than me. I'm like, okay, so looking up, I'm like, is this yours? He goes, oh yeah, I have a girlfriend. I'm like, then send it to your house. What's the problem? Well, it's weird, it's circumstantial, and it's just like very like backwoods. I don't know if it was like a redneck hits hippie vibe or just odd. Okay. It's
Family
just
wouldn't
weird.
approve.
Exactly, exactly. And I was just like, okay, so take your package, but stop. But he didn't stop. So after a while, he came back, I think the third or fourth time. I said, like, my husband is actively deployed to Iraq. You cannot be sending me to this. And like the fear in his eyes of like, what have I done? I'm like, I'm trying, dude. I don't want to be a douche to you. Like, don't
That's
put me, like,
dangerous.
it
Oh
was very
no.
weird. It was just very cornering
Oh.
and very odd. And have I had something like that since? Thank God, no.
Well, I'm glad too.
Thank
That's
God, no.
I would have lost it.
Right?
I would have been like, help.
So, like, yeah, out of the most oddball, weirdest moments of my life, it has to be, yeah, the random stuffed animals from overseas. I don't recommend it.
That is a good
And if
Murphy's
you're
Law
getting, look, if y'all are
story.
getting your overseas packages, just be prepared in case if you're not, if it's like package weird, okay? Especially if your husband's over there. It was just so weird, man. It really was.
You're handling it like a pro. I probably would have been like, hello, the FBI.
Right? But that, at first I was just like, all right, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but obviously I'm not. So please, please
Yeah.
help. Please connect these dots for me, please. So, but thankfully, I mean, the kid was not rude. He was, just like, okay, but I just have a girlfriend. I'm just like, okay, you don't have to handle your own problems over on
So
that
like,
side of
where's
the
your
side.
girlfriend in Afghanistan?
I know. I was just like,
What?
why? Why?
So many questions here. We have
It
we
could
have a
be,
whole
we could
48
turn that into
states.
so many other things. Sure. Like so many other things. But yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Well, dang, that's crazy. So, man,
So
that's
I guess
wild.
that's your Murphy's Law for you on that one.
I love it. That was good. That was a good
Yeah.
story. Oh my goodness. Obviously 2 deployments is a lot. What
Mhm.
is like your go-to to kind of survive when the emotions get really, really hectic? It's a lot. Miss Flo's on her way. Like it's just all the above. What's your
Oh,
one
I love
piece
the
of
ready. I
advice,
love that.
or like what's one thing that helped you through your situation that allowed you to
Oh,
get through it
geez.
better?
Consistency with your schedule. Consistency. You know,
Hmm.
if it seems confusing on the outside, don't make your inside so confusing. So like your home life, yes, if the mind's going crazy, find a way to have an avenue to, finding yourself. Like you can re-find yourself at any time in life. So every deployment, I have found something new about myself. I have found hobbies. I've consistency in different areas, found out, met new friends. You you can kind of pick or
Hey.
choose how much, right? Yeah. You can kind of pick or choose really okay, when it comes to deployments, you can make it or break it For
Mm.
me personally, I am not your sit at home, woe is me. And I had a little bit of that in the beginning, the first deployment of like, oh my God, I'm so dependent on him. What am I gonna do? I'm like, you get so used to having them around, right?
Yeah.
And I will have to say I would say about month 4 or 5 of that deployment, you get up and you get on and get over it. You you show up at work, you can make more money, you can be taking more hours, you can find a good routine in the gym, which I for sure did. I used to always make a joke with family. I was like, well, if he deploys, I just know I'm going to get skinny because that's what I do. When he's gone, I go to the gym. Um, Ain't nothing
Nice.
personal. That's just what happened. Uh,
How it works.
yeah, that's
A
that.
deployment glow up.
But I will say, yes, and it does matter when they come home. My gosh. I mean, everybody's got their coming home to fit, but I mean, to each their own. But the but really finding that, yeah, really finding that continuous consistency on your personal routine. You are going to
Yeah.
make every deployment whatever you want to make it out as. Now, they may not have as much opportunity as we do on that, but we have a lot more leeway with that. I traveled a lot. I went to a lot of Red Sox games. I went in multiple states. Me and my dad bounced around doing that. We traveled doing that. And first one, I did travel adult softball leagues. The second and third one, I did a lot of mission work. I did a lot of
Mm.
ministry-based opportunities, teaching, serving, different things of that nature. And if I didn't open myself for those opportunities, meaning didn't even just take the chance at doing it, I don't know what those diplomas could have looked like. But that's for
Yeah.
everybody. See, I don't, and I will put this as like a fair warning with that, not fair warning, but just an enlightenment moment. I don't have kids. We have besides my dog. I mean, that is my kid. I mean, girls
That is
endured
a child.
as many deployments as we have, but
Yeah.
I never had the stressors of what children do bring because they do when you're adding the emotional, someone else's emotional needs in that, which I did not have. So I can't touch bases truly on like, okay, well, how did with your schedule with kids? I don't have that yet in time,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
within that beginning of the career, we never had that. So
Mm. Yeah.
I
No,
wish I
that's
could put some
fair.
pointers on that, but I would hate to put some effort. I would hate to put information out on that if I never truly experienced it, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, and I mean, I always say the
Yeah.
same words. Like, I don't want to speak on behalf of something I don't
Right.
know yet.
Yeah.
So no, that totally checks out. Oh, well, that's really sweet. So you've been in it for 9 years. You've had your pieces of advice. What's one thing now that you're kind of really in it, like what you're looking forward to moving forward? I don't know if that made sense, but we're gonna go
Retirement. I'm sorry.
retirement.
Oh,
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
you're
I'm real
closer than
for
I
that.
am.
Yeah. Well, uh, um, that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I really take it year by year. I really do. I enjoy traveling. But I've gotten so used to it. Like actually, I was talking the other day. I was like, okay, so like, is that 27 we're talking about, or 28 we're moving? Like, are we going right around the corner, or are we heading across wherever? It's I'm in it for the long haul with them. I I really just want to see how far he can take it because I know he can.
Yeah.
I want whatever God has in store for each of us and each really opportunity that we're
Yeah.
given. Um, I'm not the one to brag, oh, oh, my husband, I'm not that kind of wife. I just never really been into those there's nothing against it. It's just I never really could fall into the category of bragging rights or, oh, my husband's accomplishing this. My husband talks for himself, his career, truly. If anyone knows him personally, which they might when they see this or not, they'll know he doesn't believe in the bare minimum.
Mm.
And to be a good military spouse, you kind of have to correspond with what their goals are, honestly. If if you're not really supportive on that and really what their goals are going to look like, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by what your future is going to hold. So I only look forward to what God has opened up for us, truly, because that's the only thing that's going to matter in the end, anyways.
Oh, that's
Really and truly.
awesome. Do you have any last words of wisdom before we sign off?
I want to touch back on what I said earlier. A lot of people, I think, they need this reminder. Your spouse is your spouse first. The uniform will follow. And a lot of people are like, well, he's a part of it. Or he or she is a part of this. What is she talking about? But at the end of the day, they take that uniform off and they become whoever they fell in love with again. Remember that because there's going to be a time, no matter what, they started as civilian, they're going to return as one. They're just going to have retired in front of it, or vet, or veteran, or any of it, whatever they want to title themselves as once they get out of the military. And some people don't even want to qualify. They're just like, oh yeah, that was the part that I used to benefit for education, or I saw a little bit of the world. I'm done. I don't want to talk about it, or they never had a good experience. And there are some out there that they've seen some serious stuff and they're like, yeah, I was a Marine, I was a sailor, I was such and such and such, but that's it. Like, I love what I did, but we're not going to talk about what I did. And that's okay too. But remember the service member just as well as the title, just as well as the uniform that they put on each and every day. Also, to other spouses, just want to put this out there. Don't be afraid to pray for your spouse because there's going to be a lot more power and impact than you believe. It's got us through deployments, every single one of them. God has brought them home safely. And that is truly who we need to be thanking when each service member comes home. And really just grateful that we have the opportunity to do what we do and see what we see and allow them to serve an amazing country that really is one of the best out there, truly. And
Yeah.
I think more people, I pray and wish for more people to have those encounters with Christ and truly have that relationship because it's not going to just benefit you, it's going to benefit the careers. And they can actually really save marriages, save families, and save really just about anything that you're touching and encountering, really. And that's my last message for it. And I really hope someone can take that and go, okay, all right, this crazy chick from North Carolina can do it. Anybody can do it. Because we always made jokes I was going to end up with a military guy, and I ended up with the love of my life first, then the military
It's a little
guy.
foreshadowing there.
Yeah, I mean, the uniform came after the love did, so you you got to remember your why, truly.
No, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on this podcast. It means the world
Yeah,
to me. I
absolutely.
know you have a lot of stuff going on, so the fact you made time to be on this pod, I really appreciate.
It's all good.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna pray us out, and we'll go if you're cool
Absolutely.
with
Yes.
that. Awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, I am just so grateful for Sarah and her ability to share her testimony. It's really, really, really a special gift when people get to share their testimony and their story. Even if one person relates to this, we're super, super grateful. Lord, we just ask that you let this reach the people that need to hear it. And Lord, we're super grateful for your blessings and how we've gotten far or how we've gotten here this far. Lord, we just ask that, you keep us strong in the next chapter that's coming up. So in your name, amen.